Rani was the queen of the Night Pride, a guardian of the Tree of Life. Her days were filled with the responsibilities of protecting the animals that sought refuge within its magical boundaries. She was known for her courage, her wisdom, and above all, her unwavering dedication to the well-being of her pride and her kingdom. Every morning, as the first rays of sunlight touched the highest branches of the tree, Rani would embark on a patrol. She'd walk the familiar paths, her keen eyes scanning for any sign of trouble. She watched for predators straying too close, for sick animals needing care, and for any disruption to the delicate balance of nature. Her pride was her family and the Tree of Life, their home. Rani felt a profound connection to the tree, a deep sense of responsibility for its health and vitality. She understood that the tree was more than just a place. It was a source of life and magic, a sanctuary for all who needed it. The animals depended on her strength and wisdom, and she was determined to never let them down. She was also aware of the great responsibility that came with her position. The Tree of Life was a delicate ecosystem, and any threat to its well-being had to be taken seriously. Rani took pride in her role, knowing that she was playing a part in protecting something truly special. She was queen, protector, and guardian, and she wore those titles with honor. This was her life, her calling, and she would dedicate herself to it completely. She believed in the magic of the tree and the power of its healing properties. Rani was its most fervent champion. One day, during her usual morning patrol, Rani noticed something unusual. It was near the base of the great tree, where the roots spread wide like protective arms. The earth seemed to dip slightly, forming a shallow depression that she hadn't seen before. Curiosity piqued, she approached cautiously. The ground was covered in thick vines and moss, obscuring what lay beneath. Rani used her strong claws to carefully pull away the vegetation, revealing a dark opening. It was a tunnel, hidden from view, leading into the earth beneath the Tree of Life. The entrance was old, the stone worn smooth by time and weather. A shiver ran down Rani's spine. She had patrolled these lands countless times, and yet she had never noticed this hidden passage. What secrets did it hold? Was it dangerous? Could it pose a threat to the Tree of Life and the animals that depended on it? Rani knew she couldn't ignore it. Her duty was to protect her kingdom, and that meant investigating this mysterious tunnel. She took a deep breath, steeling her nerves. She knew this could be dangerous, but her responsibilities as queen outweighed her fears. She decided to call for Balio and Nirmala, two of her most trusted members of the Night Pride. Their strength and wisdom would be invaluable in exploring this unknown territory. She sent a swift messenger to fetch them, instructing them to come prepared for anything. While she waited, Rani continued to examine the tunnel entrance. She noticed strange symbols carved into the stone, symbols she didn't recognize. They looked ancient, predating even the oldest stories of the Tree of Life. This discovery only deepened the mystery, fueling her determination to uncover the truth. This wasn't just a tunnel. It was a gateway to something lost and forgotten. Soon, Balio and Nirmala arrived, their faces etched with concern. Rani quickly explained what she had found, showing them the hidden tunnel and the strange symbols. Both members of the Night Pride were surprised. Neither of them had ever seen anything like it before. "Are you sure it's safe, Rani?" Balio asked, his voice full of worry. "We don't know what could be down there. That's why we have to find out," Rani replied, her voice firm. "We can't ignore a potential threat to the Tree of Life." Nirmala nodded in agreement. "We'll go with you, Rani. We'll face whatever dangers lie ahead together." With a shared look of determination, the three members of the Night Pride entered the tunnel. The air inside was cool and damp, and the darkness was almost absolute. Rani used her night vision to guide them, her eyes adjusting to the gloom. Balio and Nirmala stayed close behind, their senses alert. As they ventured deeper, the tunnel began to slope downwards. The walls were made of smooth, dark stone, and the air grew heavy with the scent of dust and decay. It felt as if they were walking into a forgotten world. After a while, the tunnel opened into a larger chamber. Rani, Balio, and Nirmala gasped at what they saw. The chamber was filled with the ruins of an ancient civilization. Crumbling walls, broken columns, and shattered statues lay scattered around. It was clear that this place had once been magnificent, but now it was nothing more than a ghost of its former self. "What is this place?" Balio whispered, his voice filled with awe. "I don't know," Rani said, her eyes scanning the ruins. "But it's clear that this kingdom was here long before the Tree of Life." The scale of the ruins was astounding. The three members of the Night Pride cautiously stepped into the ruined chamber, eager to explore and uncover the secrets of this lost kingdom. As they carefully navigated the ruined chamber, Rani, Balio, and Nirmala noticed intricate details in the architecture. The stones were carved with depictions of animals they had never seen before, creatures with shimmering scales, feathered wings, and multiple limbs. The style was unlike anything they knew from the Pride Lands or even the Outlands. They found remnants of a grand hall, where massive pillars, though now fractured, still reached towards the ceiling. Scattered across the floor were fragments of pottery, adorned with faded colors and geometric patterns. Nirmala, with her knowledge of healing herbs, recognized traces of ancient medicines and rituals within the broken vessels. This suggested that the people of this kingdom were skilled healers and practitioners of magic. In one corner of the chamber, they discovered a collapsed staircase leading to an upper level. Rani cautiously tested the stability of the steps before leading the way. The staircase crumbled slightly under their weight, but they managed to reach the top. The upper level revealed a series of smaller rooms, possibly living quarters or studies. In one room, they found a large, flat stone covered in strange symbols. It looked like a map, but the symbols were indecipherable. Rani carefully traced the symbols with her paw, hoping to glean some meaning from them. In another room, they discovered fragments of tapestries depicting scenes of everyday life. The tapestries showed lions and other animals working together, building structures and tending to the land. It was clear that this kingdom was once a thriving and prosperous society, a testament to the power of cooperation and ingenuity. The tapestries hinted at a history of peace and prosperity, contrasting sharply with the current state of ruin. The discovery raised even more questions about what could have caused its downfall. Deeper within the ruins, they discovered a series of connected chambers, and in one of these, they found what appeared to be a royal hall. Here, the walls were covered in murals and carvings, telling the story of the kingdom and its rulers. The images were faded, but Rani, with her sharp eyes, could make out the details. The murals depicted the kingdom's founding, showing a group of diverse animals coming together to build a new society. The carvings showed the kingdom's rulers, a council of lions, eagles, and bears, each representing a different aspect of the kingdom's strength. For generations, the kingdom thrived under their leadership. The murals showed harvests, celebrations, and peaceful coexistence. However, as they moved further along the walls, the tone of the murals shifted. The images became darker, depicting conflict and discord. The carvings of the rulers showed them arguing and fighting amongst themselves. One mural depicted a lion, his face twisted with anger, betraying the other rulers. He was shown stealing an object of great power, a glowing crystal, and using it to sow chaos throughout the kingdom. The final murals showed the kingdom's destruction. Buildings crumbled, the land withered, and the animals scattered in fear. The glowing crystal was depicted as a source of darkness, corrupting everything it touched. The last carving showed the betrayer being consumed by the crystal's power, his form becoming monstrous and twisted. Rani, Balio, and Nirmala stared at the murals in stunned silence. The story they told was one of betrayal, corruption, and ultimately destruction. It was a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of greed and the importance of unity. The story of the fallen kingdom was now coming to light. The question now was, how did this affect them now? As if in answer to their unspoken question, a chilling wind swept through the royal hall. The temperature dropped suddenly, and the air grew heavy with an unnatural energy. Nirmala, sensitive to the spiritual realm, gasped and clutched her chest. "Something's wrong," she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "I feel a darkness, a curse." Rani and Balio looked at each other, their expressions grim. They had heard stories of curses and dark magic, but they had never experienced anything like this before. The murals had told a story of betrayal and destruction, but it seemed the consequences of that betrayal were still lingering in the ruins. Suddenly, a section of the wall began to glow with an eerie light. The image of the betrayer lion, his face twisted with greed, shimmered and pulsed. A voice, ancient and malevolent, echoed through the hall. "You have awakened the curse," the voice boomed. "The betrayal cannot be forgiven. The kingdom will never find peace." The glowing image faded, but the darkness remained. Rani felt a creeping sensation, as if something was trying to invade her mind. She shook her head, trying to resist the influence. "We have to get out of here," Balio said, his voice urgent. "This place is dangerous." They turned to leave, but the entrance to the hall was blocked by a wall of shadows. The curse had trapped them. They were now at the mercy of the ancient magic that had destroyed this kingdom. The betrayal of the rulers had left a stain upon the land, a curse that was now threatening to consume them. The question was no longer how the past affected them, but how they could survive it. The discovery of the curse had made their mission far more urgent. Despite the wall of shadows blocking their exit, Rani, Balio, and Nirmala managed to fight their way out of the royal hall, driven by the urgency to protect the Tree of Life. They knew that the curse was not contained within the ruins. It was spreading. Back at the tree, they were met with a scene of growing chaos. Animals were falling ill, their bodies weakened and their spirits drained. The once vibrant leaves of the tree were beginning to wilt, turning a sickly brown. The water in the watering hole was murky and foul-smelling. "The curse, it's affecting the tree," Nirmala said, her voice trembling with despair. "The life force is being drained." Rani felt a surge of panic. The Tree of Life was the source of all their strength and well-being. If it fell, everything would be lost. She knew they had to act quickly. She dispatched Balio to gather the night pride and help care for the sick animals. She instructed them to quarantine the affected areas and to offer what comfort and healing they could. Meanwhile, Rani and Nirmala went to consult with Makini, the royal Njuzi, hoping she might have some insight into the nature of the curse and how to stop it. Makini, after examining the affected animals and the environment, confirmed Nirmala's fears. "This is no ordinary illness," she said, her voice grave. "It's a magical curse, born of betrayal and despair. It's feeding on the Tree of Life's energy." Makini explained that the curse was likely linked to the crystal depicted in the murals, the source of the kingdom's downfall. She warned Rani that if the curse continued to spread, the Tree of Life would wither and die, and the land would become barren and lifeless. Rani knew that she had to find a way to break the curse, not only to save the Tree of Life, but also to prevent the same fate from befalling her own kingdom. The stakes were higher than ever. Realizing the immense danger and the limitations of her own resources, Rani knew she needed help from outside the Night Pride. She decided to seek the aid of the Lion Guard. Kion and his team had faced countless threats and possessed unique abilities that could prove invaluable in breaking the curse. Rani sent a message via Lumba Lumba, a swift and reliable messenger, requesting an urgent meeting with Kion at the border between their territories. She knew time was of the essence. When Kion and the Lion Guard arrived, they were immediately struck by Rani's grave demeanor. The news of the illness spreading amongst the animals had already reached them, but they didn't know the true cause. Rani explained everything, from the discovery of the hidden tunnel to the ancient kingdom's betrayal and the resulting curse. She showed them the symbols she had copied from the tunnel entrance and described the chilling experience in the royal hall. She also detailed the effects the curse was having on the Tree of Life, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. Kion listened intently, his expression growing more serious with each word. He knew the Tree of Life was a sacred place, and any threat to its well-being had to be taken seriously. He turned to his team, Bunga, Besht, Fuli, and Ono, and without a word, they nodded in agreement. They were ready to help. "Rani, you can count on us," Kion said, his voice firm and resolute. "The Lion Guard will stand with you to protect the Tree of Life. We will help you break this curse, no matter the cost." The Lion Guard was ready to add their strength to Rani's, and the team was ready to fight. Together, Rani, Balio, Nirmala, and the Lion Guard descended back into the hidden tunnel. Kion's roar, infused with the power of the roar of the elders, momentarily dispelled some of the oppressive darkness, allowing them to see more clearly. As they ventured deeper, the ruins seemed to shift and change around them, as if the curse itself was trying to mislead them. Collapsed pathways, illusions, and treacherous drops tested their resolve at every turn. Ono's keen eyesight proved invaluable in spotting hidden dangers and identifying structural weaknesses in the crumbling architecture. Fuli's speed allowed her to scout ahead, quickly relaying information about potential threats or alternative routes. Besh's strength was essential for moving heavy debris and clearing blocked passages. Bunga's fearlessness and unorthodox thinking helped them navigate tricky situations and solve ancient puzzles. Nirmala's knowledge of healing and spiritual energies allowed her to sense the presence of the curse and identify areas where its influence was strongest. She also provided protective wards and remedies to help shield them from its effects. Balio's strength and agility complemented Besh's, and he was always ready to defend the group from any unexpected attacks. Rani, with her intimate knowledge of the ruins and her unwavering determination, guided them through the labyrinthine passages. She remembered details from the murals and carvings, using them to decipher clues and unlock hidden pathways. Working together, the Night Pride and the Lion Guard overcame each obstacle, their combined skills and strengths proving to be a formidable force against the curse. They were a team, united in their determination to save the Tree of Life and break the ancient curse that threatened to consume them all. Their teamwork was the only way they would succeed. The deeper they ventured, the more elaborate and challenging the trials became. They encountered a chamber filled with shimmering illusions, where they had to discern the real path from the false, relying on Nirmala's ability to sense the true energy flow. One wrong step would send them plummeting into a bottomless pit. In another chamber, they faced a series of ancient riddles inscribed on stone tablets. Bunga, surprisingly, proved to be adept at deciphering the riddles, his seemingly random thoughts often providing the key to the answers. Each correct answer unlocked a section of the path forward. They then came to a chasm filled with swirling, dark energy. The only way across was a series of floating platforms that appeared and disappeared in a rhythmic pattern. Fuli's speed and agility were crucial as she leaped from platform to platform, testing their stability and guiding the others across. Kion used the roar of the elders sparingly, carefully directing it to solidify the platforms momentarily, ensuring everyone's safe passage. A room filled with enchanted mirrors tested their courage and inner strength. Each mirror reflected their deepest fears and insecurities, attempting to break their resolve. Rani, drawing on her strength as queen, reminded everyone of their purpose and the importance of unity. Kion, remembering his past struggles with the roar, helped his friends face their fears and overcome the illusions. Finally, they reached a massive stone door, sealed with intricate locks. The only way to open it was to solve a complex puzzle involving the symbols from a tunnel entrance. Rani, drawing on her memory and Bunga's unexpected insight, managed to decipher the code, unlocking the door and revealing the path to the heart of the ruins. Each challenge tested their teamwork, their courage, and their understanding of each other, forging a stronger bond between the Night Pride and the Lion Guard. As they passed through the stone door, the air grew thick with sorrow and despair. Suddenly, they were bombarded with visions, fragments of the past swirling around them like a storm. They saw the kingdom in its glory, the animals living in harmony, the rulers working together in peace. Then, the visions shifted, showing the gradual descent into darkness. They witnessed the lion ruler, Ascari, consumed by greed and ambition, his eyes gleaming with an unnatural light as he plotted his betrayal. They saw him manipulating the other rulers, sowing seeds of discord and mistrust. The most heart-wrenching visions showed the suffering of the kingdom's people. Animals starving as the land withered, families torn apart by conflict, and the healers desperately trying to stem the tide of illness and despair. They saw the fear in their eyes, the hope fading as the crystal's dark power spread. Rani felt a pang of empathy for these long-gone creatures. She understood their pain, their loss, and their desperation. The visions made her realize that the curse was not just an abstract force. It was the embodiment of their collective suffering. Kion, too, was deeply moved by the visions. He saw the parallels between Ascari's betrayal and his own past struggles with the roar of the elders. He understood the destructive power of unchecked ambition and the importance of responsibility. The visions ended as abruptly as they began, leaving them shaken and somber. They now had a deeper understanding of the curse and the tragedy that had befallen this kingdom. They knew that breaking the curse was not just about saving the Tree of Life. It was about bringing peace to the souls of those who had suffered so much. The weight of their mission had just increased tenfold. The need to fix this was even more urgent than before. Beyond the Chamber of Visions, they found themselves in a long, winding corridor. The walls were bare, and the air was still and heavy. At the end of the corridor, they discovered a hidden doorway, concealed behind a loose stone. With Besh's help, they pushed the stone aside, revealing a small, circular chamber. Inside the chamber, resting on a pedestal, was a crystal. It pulsed with a dark, malevolent energy, casting eerie shadows across the room. This was the crystal depicted in the murals, the source of the kingdom's downfall and the embodiment of the curse. Rani and Kion approached the crystal cautiously. They could feel its dark energy trying to pull them in, to corrupt them with its power. Nirmala sensed the immense suffering contained within the crystal, the pain and despair of the kingdom's people. Around the base of the pedestal, they noticed a series of carvings. These carvings were different from the others they had seen. They depicted animals offering symbols of unity and forgiveness, symbols of hope and healing. "This must be the key," Rani said, her voice barely a whisper. "The way to break the curse." Kion nodded in agreement. "But how do we use it?" As they examined the carvings, they realized that each symbol corresponded to a different aspect of the kingdom's downfall. One symbol represented the betrayal, another represented the greed, and another represented the lack of forgiveness. They knew that they had to find a way to counteract these negative forces with their opposites. They had to find a way to offer unity, generosity, and forgiveness in order to break the curse and bring peace to the lost kingdom. The crystal was clearly the source of the curse, but the carvings held the key to neutralizing it. Their next steps would decide the fate of the Tree of Life. As Rani reached out to touch one of the carvings, the chamber plunged into darkness. A ghostly figure materialized before them, its form shimmering and indistinct. It was a lion, but its features were twisted with rage and sorrow. "You dare disturb this sacred place?" the spirit roared, its voice echoing with pain. "Leave this kingdom to its eternal rest." It was Ascari, the betrayer, or what remained of him, bound to the crystal and consumed by the curse. He was the guardian of the ruins, forever trapped in his own torment. Kion stepped forward, ready to defend Rani and the others. But Rani held up a paw, stopping him. She knew that fighting Ascari would be futile. He was not a physical being. He was an embodiment of the curse itself. "We don't wish to disturb your rest," Rani said, her voice calm and respectful. "We only seek to break the curse and bring peace to this kingdom." Ascari scoffed. "Peace? There can be no peace. The betrayal cannot be forgiven." "But forgiveness is the only way to heal," Rani argued. "Holding on to anger and resentment will only perpetuate the cycle of suffering." Ascari glared at her, his eyes filled with hatred. "You know nothing of suffering. You cannot understand the pain of betrayal." "Perhaps not," Rani replied, "but I do know the importance of unity and the power of forgiveness. I have seen the destruction that hatred can cause, and I refuse to let it consume my own kingdom." Ascari lunged at Rani, but she stood her ground, unwavering. She met his gaze, her eyes filled with compassion. "I forgive you, Ascari," she said. "I forgive you for your betrayal, and I offer you peace." Her words seemed to strike a chord within the spirit. Ascari recoiled, his form flickering and unstable. The power of her forgiveness was weakening the curse's hold on him. The fate of the kingdom rested on Rani's next act. Looking at the carvings around the pedestal, Rani had an epiphany. The symbols weren't just about counteracting the negative forces. They were about embodying the values that the kingdom had lost. It wasn't enough to forgive Ascari. They had to actively promote unity and generosity. She understood that breaking the curse required more than just a single act of forgiveness. It needed a collective effort, a commitment from everyone present to embrace the values that the kingdom had abandoned. She looked at Kion, Balio, Nirmala, Bunga, Besht, and Fully. She knew she couldn't do this alone. "We need to activate these carvings," Rani said, her voice filled with newfound determination. "Each of us must touch a carving and offer a symbol of what it represents." She pointed to the carving representing unity. "Kion, you're the leader of the Lion Guard, a symbol of unity across the Pride Lands. You must touch this carving and offer your commitment to working together, no matter the challenges." Kion nodded and stepped forward, placing his paw on the carving. "I pledge my strength and my loyalty to the protection of the Tree of Life and to the unity of all who seek refuge here," he said, his voice resonating with sincerity. Rani then turned to Balio. "You represent strength and loyalty. Touch the carving that represents generosity and offer your willingness to share your strength with those in need." Balio placed his paw on the carving. "I offer my strength and my protection to all who are weak and vulnerable," he said. She continued around the circle, assigning each member of the Night Pride and the Lion Guard a carving that resonated with their strengths and values. Nirmala offered healing, Bunga offered fearlessness, Besht offered compassion, and Fully offered swift assistance to those in need. With each pledge, the chamber grew brighter, and the crystal's dark energy began to diminish. The power of their collective commitment was breaking the curse. With each member of the Night Pride and the Lion Guard having pledged their commitment to the values of unity, generosity, healing, fearlessness, compassion, and swift assistance, the chamber pulsed with a radiant light. However, Rani knew that this was not the end. They had weakened the curse, but they had not yet broken it. "There's still one more step," Rani said, looking at Kion. "We need to combine our powers to create a symbol of reconciliation between the Night Pride and the Lion Guard, a testament to our commitment to working together." Rani instructed Kion to use the roar of the elders, not to destroy, but to channel the positive energy that now filled the chamber. She, in turn, would use her healing powers to guide that energy, focusing it on the crystal and the spirit of Ascari. Kion took a deep breath and unleashed the roar of the elders, filling the chamber with a surge of golden light. Rani focused her energy, guiding the roar towards the crystal. The crystal trembled, its dark energy flickering and fading. Ascari's spirit, still present but weakened, watched in awe as the light washed over him. The combined power of the roar and Rani's healing created a swirling vortex of energy that enveloped the crystal. The symbols on the carvings began to glow, their light merging into a single, unified beam that struck the crystal. With a final surge of power, the crystal shattered into 1,000 pieces. The darkness vanished, and the chamber was filled with a pure, white light. Ascari's spirit, now free from the curse, smiled at Rani and Kion. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice filled with gratitude. "You have brought peace to this kingdom." With that, his spirit faded away, finally at rest. The ritual was complete. The curse was broken. As the light from the shattered crystal faded, a wave of healing energy washed over the ruins. The darkness that had permeated the air lifted, replaced by a sense of peace and tranquility. The crumbling walls seemed to solidify, and the faded murals regained some of their former color. The spirit of the lost kingdom was finally at rest. Back at the Tree of Life, the effects of the broken curse were immediate and profound. The sick animals began to recover, their bodies regaining their strength and their spirits lifting. The wilted leaves of the tree regained their vibrant green hue, and the water in the watering hole cleared, sparkling once more. Nirmala felt the healing energy flowing through her, revitalizing the tree and restoring its life force. She smiled, knowing that their efforts had been successful. The Tree of Life was safe. Rani looked at the tree, her heart filled with gratitude. She had faced a great challenge, but with the help of the Night Pride and the Lion Guard, she had overcome it. She had not only saved the Tree of Life, but also brought peace to a lost kingdom. The animals of the Tree of Life celebrated their recovery, their joyful cries echoing through the land. The Night Pride and the Lion Guard watched, their hearts filled with pride. They had worked together, overcoming their differences and embracing the values of unity and forgiveness. The curse was lifted, the Tree of Life was healed, and the spirit of the lost kingdom found peace. It was a victory for all, a testament to the power of unity, compassion, and forgiveness. The Tree of Life was safe, and Rani was ready to keep it that way. As Rani and the Lion Guard emerged from the hidden tunnel, they were greeted by the warm rays of the sun. The Tree of Life stood tall and vibrant before them, its leaves shimmering in the light. The air was filled with the joyful sounds of the animals, their laughter and songs a testament to the restored harmony. They had entered the tunnel as separate groups, each with their own strengths and responsibilities. But they emerged as a united team, forever bound by their shared experience and their commitment to the values they had embraced in the ruins. Rani looked at Kion, her heart filled with gratitude. She had always respected the Lion Guard, but now she felt a deeper connection to them, a bond forged in the face of adversity. "Thank you, Kion," she said. "You and the Lion Guard have shown true courage and compassion. I will never forget your help." Kion smiled. "It was an honor to stand with you, Rani," he replied. "The Night Pride and the Lion Guard are stronger together. We will always be there to protect the Tree of Life." Balio, Nirmala, Bunga, Besht, and Fully all nodded in agreement. They had learned valuable lessons about teamwork, forgiveness, and the importance of unity. They had seen the destructive power of hatred and division, and they were determined to never let it take root in their own hearts. Rani knew that the experience in the ruins had changed them all. They had faced their fears, confronted their insecurities, and emerged stronger and more resilient. They had learned the true meaning of unity, and they were ready to carry that lesson forward, protecting the Tree of Life and spreading its message of hope and healing to all who sought refuge within its boundaries. The experience would forever shape their actions. The end.